Hello, and welcome to something a little bit different. So today, I wanted to give you a little bit of deck advice. See, I don't really have a competitive deck built up, and so I wanted to build a more competitive deck to play with, and I decided Banebow, and I built a deck, and I got it loaded up right over here, and we're going to take a look at it real quick, and so if you're a newer player, I mean, this is more for you. But, you know, maybe someone hasn't thought of this or, you know, you're going to get some other information from this. But let's take a really quick look. As you can notice, there's a lot of 1 copies of allies in this deck. And that is the point. You know, you can read on the forums of what people like and what other people don't like and other things and what works and what doesn't work. You know, until you play with the cards, with the hero, with the specific hero, you don't know. So, you know, I made this deck. Basically, I just threw, I counted these up. There are 19 allies in this deck. And so that's what I suggest you doing. You put 20 allies that you think are going to be helpful, 20 different allies in the deck. And, you know, what we're going to do is when we're playing a match, we're going to see which ones I like, which ones I sacrifice and win. And, you know, if there's an ally that I play a couple times but I hate it, and all the rest of the time I end up sacrificing it, then I'm not going to put that in my deck when I go to building the deck. So let's look at the other cards really quick. I will say the one thing you want to make sure that you have enough of is a draw. So I would suggest 8 cards, and you know, the more the merrier, but I wouldn't put in more than 10. 8 is fine. As you can see here, I have 4 sacrificial lambs because I do have around 20 allies. I do have 2 Wrath of the Forests and 2 Pride of the Mountains. And those are going to be consisting of my draw in this deck. The other thing is, for all of my decks, I like to have at least 1 armor card and at least 1 weapon. Now, that's not always true, and it depends, but that's, you know, generally what I like to do. So as you see here, the Wrath of the Forest and Pride of the Mountain is armor and draw. So I don't want to put any other armor in. But I do have 3 weapons here. I chose Soulseeker, Guardian's Oath, and Golden Guitar. All the other weapons didn't look very helpful, and I thought I wanted to play around with these 3 because I do plan on having 3 copies of whatever weapon I choose in the deck. Then I filled up the rest with abilities. As you can see, I put in like Poison Arrow. I mean, I know that's a good card. I've played with it before. I put in the Perfect Shot. You know, those are 2 because I already know those cards are good. Like Shriek of Vengeance, I already like that card. I already know it's going to be helpful. But, you know, as you can see, these other cards I put in here, you know, I put them in here. I want to test around with them, you know, and you might be thinking, well, you're only going to get 1. Well, you got to play a lot of matches with this deck. You know, you can't just play 1 or 2 and start to get a feel for it. You got to play 10, 20, 30, and all of a sudden you start knowing which cards you like and which cards you don't like. But so this is the deck. As you can see, I'm not going to run through all the allies, but you can see them all here with EO Void Leviathan down there hiding. But here's all my allies. I got some cost 2, some cost 3, and some cost 5. You want to make sure you even those up if you are going to do something like this. And, you know, you try to range, you know, you want to make sure that the costs are all different, you know. So if you're worried about it, I would not do any 6 or any 1. Just have 2 through 5, because then you're not going to be too worried about having too many high cards or too many low cards. But this is the deck that's already saved right here, and let's get into a quick match and see what I do. And I'm going to try to talk more in depth about my cards and sacrificing style in this deck, because I haven't been doing it as much as I wanted to. But we are playing against a Dark Claw, and I get to go first. Now, I'm going to tell you the first thing I am looking at with the Dark Claw is I got 3 trap cards. And traps are only really good against allies. And Dark Claw isn't going to heavily rely on allies, man. He is going to have weapons, you know, and Speed Strike probably. So I am going to get rid of Snare Trap because I do have a turn 2 drop. If I hadn't had that Brutalis, I might keep the Snare Trap just to play something on turn 2. Maybe not though. We are playing against the Fud Man, and he sacrifices a card. Now, you know, again, I think I'm not too worried about him having allies. Even if he does, I should be able to handle it. So I am going to get rid of this Rolling Boulders and play the Brutalis. So that is the logic behind that. You know, there's no reason, you know, if I'm playing against maybe a deck like Zana, I go, man, Zana is going to have an Aeon or a Gunther. So is Lance, probably. You know, then I'm more likely to keep those cards. But a Dark Claw, I'm not too worried. Now, he does use a Now You're Mine on the Brutalis, which I don't mind whatsoever. You know, okay, it's kind of like an even trade there. We are going to want to keep this Poison Arrow. We're going to want to keep the Molten Destroyer because I want to have something, you know, a high-cost ally. So really, we have a couple of options here. I want to get out this Death Collector. So we can either get rid of the Death Trap or the Ironhide Crash. And we are going to get rid of the Death Trap, and I'll explain why in a second. And the reason is, Dark Claw is going to have weapons. His ability pretty much requires that he has weapons in his deck. And, you know, Ironhide Crash does really well against getting rid of the durability of weapons. Now, he might just have what big teeth, I don't know. But if he has a Jeweler's Dream, the Ironhide Crash might prove useful. He is just going to use another Now You're Mine on the Death Collector, which there's not much I can do about it. Now, I haven't gotten a draw yet. And, you know, I'm looking at my cards, and I'm not feeling good about sacrificing one. So I think I'm actually going to skip. And we're just going to play this Ironhide Crash to get something out on the board and end my turn. And we'll see what he does here. I'm not, you know, you don't want to skip sacrificing turns, especially within like the first 4, I would say. You know, sometimes you do. It's not necessarily the wrong move. He skipped too, so, and he's going to attack my hero with his what big teeth. And we do get a Pride of the Mountain. And you know, I'm thinking, because of the captured phrase and because of the what big teeth, I don't think he's gonna have allies. And so I think I'm gonna get rid of this Poison Arrow here. We are gonna attack him with the Ironhide Crash, just to do a little bit of damage. And we are gonna play Pride of Mountain. Now, if you heard me, I just said I don't think he has any allies. But playing Pride of the Mountain here isn't... I'm not using it as a draw. I'm using it as armor. You know, I mean, I might as well play that card. There's no really use hanging on to it. It's not going to be very situational. And it's just going to kind of limit the damage I take. But we'll see what he plays here. You know, I mean, he might... Okay, so he skips. So I would assume he's going to play a Speed Strike here. And go after the Ironhide Crash and my hero. But he plays a Now You're Mine, kills the Ironhide Crash, and it's going to wear down that armor a little bit more and end his turn. And oh man. And then we get put in situations like this that are really tough to decide what you want to do. You want to sacrifice a card here because you want to play a card. They're all cost 5 cards. I kind of like Guardian's Oath in this position. Just to, well... You know, we're going to get rid of Guardian's Oath. Why? Because his ability uses Ambush. Not very helpful. We are going to play the Molten Destroyer. And the reason we're playing the Molten Destroyer here and not the Plasma Behemoth is from the fact that I would rather have the Plasma Behemoth on the board than the Molten Destroyer. So if he does get his Speed Strike, and he has a Rabid Bite, this is a really interesting deck. It's like a weird solo deck. But still hasn't used his ability. Okay, and I get a Soul Seeker. We're just going to skip. You know, I don't see any reason to play that Soul Seeker. So we are just going to play the Plasma Behemoth and end my turn here. We're going to hold on to my ability until my Shadow Era gets higher. He might play an ally. I don't know. It looks like it's looking like a solo deck, but there's no reason to use it right now. He's got 26 health. If he's at 24, I mean, who cares? Now, maybe if he's at like 4 health or something, it's a little bit different. But, you know, I see a lot of people, and they're using their Shadow ability like turn 3, especially like very situational ones, like Zana's healing ability or something. You don't want to do that. You want to store up your Shadow ability, you know, and use it when it's more helpful. Because maybe you want to use that ability not to heal yourself, but to heal an ally at some point. He does get a Speed Strike, so it'll be interesting here to see who he kills. He is going to kill the Plasma Behemoth, which, you know, I expected. And he's going to end his turn, I would assume. We do get a Sack Lamb. Now, that's actually a great card in this situation. We are going to skip because we're going to be able to attack him. He is going to do 3 damage to us, but I will be able to use that Sack Lamb on the Molten Destroyer and get some draw going. Now, I think what we're going to do here... Okay, so if I destroy his What Big Teeth here, he hasn't gotten out of draw yet. He's only got 2 cards. So he might not have another What Big Teeth. So I'm using that this turn. And I'm going to play the Twisted Familiar because I can. Why not? And I'm still not going to use my Shadow Energy. And I'm going to end my turn here. And I'm going to pray that he doesn't have a What Big Teeth. You know, sometimes you get lazy. And once you play a card like that, you start sacrificing all the rest. So when someone destroys it, you kind of are screwed. But we'll see what he does here. He does have a Now You're Mine for the Twisted Familiar. And he does end his turn. Now, I want the Soul Seeker. You know what? We might skip. You know what? We're going to skip here, actually. And we're just going to play the Morbid Acolyte. And we're going to end my turn. And the reason is because I was able to play a card with my 4 resources, and I didn't like sacrificing any of those cards. If I had to sacrifice one, I would have gotten rid of the Morbid Acolyte, probably played the Io Void Leviathan, and used my Shadow ability. But he does get a Blood Moon, and he is going to play that. And he's going to end his turn, so that is great for us. Oh man, and I get an Infernal Gargoyle. You know, Infernal Gargoyles are great against Dark Claws because it's harder for them to damage the Infernal Gargoyle and other such things. I'm at 9. So I still have 1 turn with the Shadow ability. So I think we're going to skip again and just play the Infernal Gargoyle. We're going to attack him for 2 and we're going to end my turn. The thing, especially now, you know, I might use it at 9. But I want to make sure... I don't think a Dark Claw is going to have that 1 card, a Shadow Spawn, to get rid of our Shadow Energy. And even if he does, he's going to get rid of his. So I'm not too worried about seeing that card in this situation. And I want to make sure I can get... I'm going to try to get that Io Void Leviathan beefed up as much as I can. Now, he is going... He does get a What Big Teeth, and he is going to use it to kill the Infernal Gargoyle. Which is fine. It's what I expected. But he is going to end his turn. And I get another Pride of the Mountain. Which I'm pretty confident that this is a solo deck at this point. So we are going to sacrifice that. It will be armor, but it doesn't look helpful at all. I'm kind of thinking in my head right now. Let me think really quick. 4, 3, 2... Ah, it's all ugly, isn't it? It's all ugly. The problem I have with playing the I Avoid Leviathan this turn is he's just going to be able to destroy it, and it's not going to do anything, even if I do boost it up. So I think we're going to play the Soul Seeker here. We are going to use my ability because it's at 10, and I don't want to be wasting the Shadow Energy here. And, you know, we are going to attack with it. Kind of, and the reason is to lower his health. He's at 14 health. But we're not going to attack with the Morbid Acolyte. Well, no. We want that Morbid Acolyte to eat up some of the damage here. So if I had to guess, I think he's going to kill the Morbid Acolyte, and he's going to have to do that with both of his attacks here. And he gets a Leyline Nexus for my Soul Seeker, and now I'm kind of getting screwed because of no draw, you know, and, you know, so I'm not actually writing anything down, but I'm kind of making a mental note, you know, Pride of the Mountain. It's not helpful if I run into a solo deck. You know, I'd probably rather have Wrath of the Forest there. You know, so I make a mental note and go, well, Wrath of the Forest is probably better than Pride of the Mountain. We're going to skip. And we are going to play the Fury and Terror. And I'll tell you why. He's going to be able to use his ability next turn. And I'm going to use my ability. And that is because his health is getting so low. So I don't want to be sitting there with him having maybe 6 health and me having a ton of shadow energy and just thinking, man, if I'd been doing that earlier, I would have won. We are going to end my turn, and he is going to use his shadow energy, which will leave him at 0. So he will be able to kill the Fury and Terror, but I really want to get that I Avoid Leviathan out and try to beef it up. Now, he will be able to kill it if he has a Shadow Font, but, you know, I'm hoping he doesn't. That's basically what that comes down to. He has a Rabid Bite, and he's probably going to go straight for my hero here. He's going to kill the Fury, which makes sense. Okay. So now, you know, he's got a lot of cards. I'm wishing I had a draw, but even a Sacrificial Lamb might not help me. And it's actually the card I get. We're going to skip, and we're going to play the only card I can. And we are going to use my ability here. So hopefully, so I Avoid Leviathan is going to go up to 3-5. And we're going to end my turn. Then we're just going to pray that he doesn't have a Shadow Font to, you know, get rid of this I Avoid Leviathan. You know, I mean, this is a solo Dark Claw deck. And he does have a Shadow Font, so he's going to be able to kill it. Which is, oh, he's got, you know what? And he plays a Capture Prey, which my heart just jumped because I'm like, I can use the Sacrificial Lamb on it. Oh my gosh, he didn't kill it. So, you know, I will say, you know, that's one of the downfalls of Crippling Blow and Sacrificial Play. Now, okay, Darkwood Wraith is more helpful when your opponent is playing allies. And because when I use Sacrificial Lamb, I'm not going to know what cards I'm going to get, and I don't know how many resources I'm going to want, I am going to sacrifice it. And we are going to destroy the I Avoid Leviathan here. And we're going to play Bloodstained Marauder. And that's just because I can, and it's to eat up some damage. And we're going to end my turn. And, you know, now I'm sitting here thinking that I'm going to lose. You know, I don't know how it can come back. He's in good position, even though, you know, it doesn't, I mean, he's in really good position to win here. Hopefully he doesn't just get another Shadow Font. We've gone through most of the deck. Now, he does have a Captured Prey for the Bloodstained Marauder. He is going to be able to do 2 damage to the Banebow, which is unfortunate. He will be able to kill me next turn. Oh, and I get a Shriek of Vengeance. We're going to get rid of this Perfect Shot because this is definitely a solo deck, and this Perfect Shot isn't going to be helpful at all. We will use the Shriek of Vengeance like 100%. We'll play the Golden Guitar, because why not? And we'll use my ability, because why not? There's no really reason not to. You know, I've already gotten rid of that I Avoid Leviathan. And I can attack. which I think we'll do here, because it doesn't lose any durability when it defends, so, you know, whatever. Now on my turn. And so basically, I'm praying to the Shadow Era gods that he does not get a weapon in this kind of instance. And he does have Fangs of the Predator, which means it is game over. It was a good game. You know, I wasn't playing this game expecting to win either. I was just playing, you know, and here are some of the notes I took from playing the match. You know, now this is just one match. I will play a bunch of matches with this deck so I can start to get an idea. But some of the things that I thought of just while playing, and I didn't even get all my cards. That's another reason why you have to play a lot of matches. And I will say, okay, what do I want to think? Pride of the Mountain, you know, okay. It might be more helpful if the opponent's playing allies, but what if I run into a solo deck? What if I run into a semi-solo deck? That's not going to be a helpful card. And you know, I have allies. So I'm thinking right now that I might make the change of 4 Wrath of the Forests and take out the 2 Pride of the Mountains. You know? Other things that crossed my mind, I guess, were, you know, the deck is really ally driven. You know, I didn't have any cards to really deal with a solo deck. So, you know, maybe when I'm looking at the deck over, I might put that into consideration. You know, like, what if I run into a solo deck? What cards am I going to have to compete with a solo Gwen or a solo Darkclaw? Or I even ran up against a solo Moonstalker the other day. You know, what am I going to do to deal with this? And, you know, that's what the point of doing this kind of like exercise is. And, you know, if you're a newer player or you haven't tried this before, or, you know, it's a new idea to you, I invite you to try out this idea because I like it. And, you know, and you want to make sure, though, that you're not just playing all these matches with this deck because you're going to lose a lot of matches. It's hard to play with. But you want to start trying to make decisions quickly. So let's just talk about that for 1 second. So, like, for example, I go, okay, take out 2 Pride of the Mountains and put in 2 more Wrath of the Forest. Great. You know, and then I'm looking at these other cards. Wow, well, Shriek of Vengeance really helped me in that deck. So maybe I put in a 3rd one, you know, and I take out Rolling Boulders. You know, you just play around with it. And then if you play around, you add too many of a card and you feel like you're sacrificing that all the time, but you want it in your deck, just have 2 or 3, you know. Other suggestions I have is, unless you're doing this, but if you have a set deck that you like, it should not have any one copy of a card. The only exception to that is if it is Eternal Renewal or Revival, the elemental card that brings all your cards back to your deck, or the priest card that brings all your allies. Those are the only 2 exceptions. But besides that, so, you know, maybe I'm looking here and I go, man, I would have really liked to get Rustweave on that instance, or, you know, Infernal Gargoyle was helpful. You know, so I'm going to start refining this deck down, taking out cards that aren't helpful during play and putting in cards that are more helpful. But it takes a lot of plays to get to that point. But, you know, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe. Like always, I hope you got a helpful tip or some advice. I hope you try this out. It's really helpful. And, you know, if you're having trouble kind of starting to whittle down this deck, you know, I'm planning on making another video with this deck and kind of show you what's going through my head and other such things. But like I said, thanks for watching. Bye.